Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Round the Nation right here. Jeff Waldorf here with you on this Monday afternoon. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Unavoidable. Trying to set up a Facebook stream. Didn't work. Fail again. As well as some computer issues. Things being slow, etc. But hey, we're finally up. So we got a great show for you guys today. We've got a lot of stuff to cover. And not a lot of time. So real quick, like and share, please, if you haven't already. Like and share our clips. Trying to get to 90,000 and eventually 100,000 subscribers. We're pretty close, so if you like the show, stick around, watch it. If you like it, please subscribe. Also, Patreon, Super Chat. Those are ways to help the show. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. We are going to read a Super Chat real quick. And then go to the show. Sarchek says, your vote is your voice. Check your voter registration today. Do not wait until the last minute. So, great advice from Sarge Tech there. So, everybody, he's right. Incredibly important. So, that said, let's dive into it, okay? No, the Facebook did not work. It is broken. I'm not sure what the hell is going on with it, but, okay. We'll have to figure this out at a later time. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into the stories. All right. So as the midterms approach, President Trump is warning his supporters, fresh off their Kavanaugh victory, don't sit home. It's very important that you guys turn out because the Democrats, not only are the Democrats, if they do get into power, will change things, obviously. And, of course, Donald Trump and the rest of the conservatives hate change. That's the whole point of being a conservative. But the Democrats are too extreme to govern. This is what he said at a recent rally in Kansas. Take a look.
If you allow the wrong people to get into office, things could change. They could change, and they could change fast. And we're not going to let that happen. We can't let that happen. It can go very quickly. It can change very fast. We can't let that happen. You don't hand matches to an arsonist, and you don't give power to an angry left-wing mob, and that's what they've become.
Wow. Don't give power to an angry left-wing mob. He basically just compared the Democratic Party to a bunch of arsonists. That is both hilarious and also sad. You see what he's doing here, right? He's gaslighting us. Like, oh, those Democrats, well, they don't believe in rule of law, and they're just nothing more than a mob. Well, let me refresh your guys' memory on what a mob is. Remember these guys? Oops. These guys are Donald Trump supporters. These are members of the alt-right from Charlottesville. They were responsible for one of the deaths in Charlottesville, where an alt-right person ran over a protester, Heather Heyer. Oh no, you don't hand matches to a left-wing mob, but apparently, it's absolutely cool to hand matches to a right-wing mob. Look, the whole purpose of being a conservative is to shrink and destroy government and to privatize it. That's the whole point. Also, to stop social progress. So it's what I've been saying before. It is, the Republican Party is reactionary. That's all they are. They're reactionary and they are dangerous. And yes, they are violent. When's the last time you heard of an attack by a so-called left-wing mob? And by the way, they're comparing women who were angry about Kavanaugh being appointed and them not looking far enough into the sexual abuse allegations by Kavanaugh, and of course his stances on abortion and look, for me personally, his stances on corporate dominance in our politics, all that stuff is deeply troubling. And so when people voice their disapproval, suddenly they're a left-wing mob. And they're also apparently paid by Soros. And that's, of course, going around as well. That's amazing, man. That is amazing. Now, here's the thing. Talking about lack of, by the way, due process. The whole Kavanaugh confirmation wasn't a criminal proceeding. If it were a criminal proceeding, he'd have been going to jail, not sitting on the Supreme Court. So that's a ridiculous notion. It's also in conflict, the whole idea of, oh, can't have mob rule. As I said before, the protesters in Charlottesville with the damn tiki torches, in his rallies, there are chants of lock her up, lock her up. There's Donald Trump saying, beat the hell out of protesters, beat the hell out of these guys, the protesters that go into Trump rallies. Come on, man. It's projection. It's gaslighting. It's exactly what they're railing against. And by the way, they're saying, oh, we need civility. We need civility in politics. Says the people who have been so uncivil over the past 8 years. It's amazing. I mean, I could go. Look, I've been covering I've been covering the Republican Party, I should say. And yes, I covered Donald Trump extensively during the 2016 election and then afterwards, after he became president. But even before that, the Republican Party itself has not been civil. When a black guy won in the White House, they lost their collective minds. They went crazy hanging this President Obama in effigy. You want to talk about civility? You want to talk about mobs? Come on. Pure projection from some of the worst people in America. We move on. President Trump is now sending a message to women who come out with allegations of sexual abuse or rape against conservatives. We're going to punish you. Now, earlier he was talking with Fox News' Jeanine Pirro. Now, he said of the recent Kavanaugh hearings, he said he hated watching the slew of sexual assault allegations grow against Kavanaugh and dubbed all the accusations fabrication with, quote, not a bit of truth. I think that he should be held liable, he said. You can't go around and whether it's making up stories or making up false statements about such an important position, you can't do that. You can't destroy somebody's life. Wait, whose life got destroyed? The man who now sits on the Supreme Court versus the woman who made the allegations who can't even go home because she's inundated with death threats. Whose life is destroyed? Somebody who could have stayed quiet and avoided all this, right? All the negative attention, all the death threats, and just let him go in the Supreme Court, which he did anyway. I guess in hindsight, Christine Blasey Ford's probably thinking, Jesus Christ, why did I even come out in the first place? When I was going to end up losing, at least I wouldn't have to deal with the death threats and all the terrible things. There's this notion like, oh, these sexual assault victims, they're just coming out just for some fame and popularity. They just want their 15 minutes. Or they want to destroy somebody, like a good man like Kavanaugh. No, that's not true. Look, it takes incredible courage to come out for, with your story of sexual assault. You get picked apart in the media. You get picked apart in the courtroom by politicians, gross people like Lindsey Graham. And look, here's the thing. Even Senator Collins, right? Senator Collins voted to confirm Kavanaugh. There's this weird thing going around where it's like, well, I believe Blasey Ford. I just don't believe her. Like, well, I believe that she was attacked. And a lot of people are saying this on the right. I believe that she was attacked. I just don't believe she knew who attacked her. Again, that's a ridiculous notion. Science disproves that. In fact, the memory of the assault, here's the thing. The focal points, if you're sexually assaulted, the focal point of that assault, i.e. the person that's doing it or specific things like, did they have a weapon? Did they have a gun? Or, specific things that you remember. For her, it's Kavanaugh, whom she says 100% attacked her, and the laughter that got stuck, indelible in the hippocampus, was the laughter. That's what she said during her hearing. Those are the things that you never forget. So to say that she forgot who attacked her or didn't know that it was Kavanaugh is patently ridiculous. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, I believe that she was attacked, but I believe she was wrong about Kavanaugh. No. You can't have it both ways. But that's what she's doing. That's what these people, these conservatives like Collins and Flake, are ultimately doing. And it's disastrous. But Trump is taking it to a whole new level, as usual, saying, oh, no, we think this is completely fake. And he made fun of Blasey Ford in her testimony. And now says, oh, completely fake, but we should go further. We should punish them. We should punish these women. I think they should be held liable for destroying good men like Judge Kavanaugh. Not only that, but Pirro, earlier in the segment, had said, or I should say, she asked about the accusations and whether any of those who came forward or promoted what she called falsehoods should suffer consequences. And she specifically asked about allegations brought by Julie Swetnick, who was represented by lawyer Michael Avenatti. Now, here's the thing. We don't know if the accusations from Swetnick were true. Maybe that's why the FBI should have investigated. Maybe they should have actually, talked to her, which they did not in this investigation, which was an absolute sham. They didn't talk to, along with, of course, Swetnick not being interviewed by the FBI. Neither Kavanaugh nor Ford were interviewed either. And up to 40 witnesses who had corroborating evidence, or who claimed to have corroborating evidence, were ignored by the FBI. It's a complete sham of an investigation. It is ridiculous. But look again, there were things about Swetnick's testimony, or her account, I should say, that we had questions on. In one part, she said, well, okay, Kavanaugh was present at the time that she was supposedly gang raped. So, look, I wanted to know what present means. We're never going to get to know what that means. But Trump, offhand, says, nope, don't believe any of it. Completely false allegations. And they should be punished. They should be punished. Not only... love this this next quote here from Trump. He said, quote, there were many, many false things that were said about a very, very fine man and would have destroyed his family if this didn't happen. It all came together in the end, and people realized it was false accusations and false statements. Who? Oh, the senators that were incredibly partisan and were going to vote for him anyway? Look, Jeff Flake and Suzanne Collins, they're Republicans. Of course they were going to vote in favor of confirming a very conservative Supreme Court justice who's going to, remake the court for conservatives for decades, for generations. So that's already a given. Now, look, Joe Manchin, you want to talk about him. He's only interested in politics. Of course. He's only interested in, how do I keep my seat? I know, vote for Trump. Vote with Trump. But as the investigation showed, it was a complete sham. It was incredibly limited, as well as all the other points that I talked about before. It was ridiculous. But overall, the worst part about this is the message the President of the United States is sending to women. He's saying that not only will we not believe you, but we will punish you for coming forward. Look, I don't know what he means by punish, right? I don't know what he means. But when you have a sitting president saying, I would like to punish you, I would like to bring the full force of the law against you for coming out and sharing your, and actually making these accusations against powerful men who may have done sexual assault or rape. That is a dangerous precedent to set here in America. Okay. Speaking of dangerous, let's go to Rudy Giuliani. All right. Now, President Donald Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, is now retweeting anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about protests or anti-Kavanaugh protests. Now, he retweeted this tweet from Tom Fitton, president of right-wing pressure group Judicial Watch. He said, "Follow the money. I think Soros is the Antichrist. He must go, freeze his assets, and I bet the protests stop." Wow. Now, that's the original message, and that's actually retweeted by somebody named D. Thompson. It doesn't really matter. But let's look at the context of that. So okay, here are right-wingers saying that we should freeze the assets of a wealthy Jewish hedge fund owner based on his religion and his supposed political activism. That's even assuming that the context is correct, or that the charge is correct, that he is paying protesters, which there's no proof of. Is it? No, we should freeze his assets because of his political activism. Well, if that's true, then why aren't you freezing the assets of the Koch brothers, who do even more political activism on behalf of conservatives? Oh, right, I just answered the question. It's because it's on behalf of conservatives. Oh, of course. But you know what this is? Look, they're not even hiding their fascism anymore. Rudy Giuliani might as well put on a swastika. He is just about there. The fact that they don't understand, or maybe they do understand, and that's worse, what they're saying, what they're implying. He's the Antichrist, so let's go after him. Come on. Now, as I said before, this group, Judicial Watch, who came up with the original message, oh, these are paid protests from the leftists, and now it's been picked up by, of course, the President of the United States, who's tweeting things like, oh, these are just paid protesters. Like, for example, the people that were yelling at Jeff Flake in the elevator, paid protests. This isn't really what the American people feel. No, these are just paid actors, and it's a charge that comes up over and over and over again from the right wing. It's ridiculous. But anyway, they said, this is Tom Fitton, like I said, he says the alleged activists opposed to the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh have all used intimidation and violence. Really? What violence? Show me one example of a protester for Kavanaugh being violent, engaging in violence. There isn't any. There isn't any. An intimidation. Oh, they point to, Ted Cruz. They yelled at Ted Cruz in a restaurant. Oh, how dare they? Well, first of all, that's actually voicing your approval. I know that was controversial. I'm in favor of, going and actually redressing your grievances with your elected representatives. Because look, they ain't going to talk to you otherwise. You try to get a meeting. If you're a constituent of Ted Cruz, try to get a meeting with him. He's not going to listen to you until you bring him a fat check. Because that's what happens in a bought government. So this is the only way to go and actually challenge your representatives. Again, nobody here is advocating for violence, and none of the people who have actually challenged their representatives on this has engaged in violence. None. And by the way, going and actually chanting and whatever, even if they're in a restaurant, or all that is part of the First Amendment. Unless, of course, these right-wingers are anti-free speech. I thought you guys liked free speech. I thought you guys were for freedom. Now, it turns out you don't like free speech if it challenges the people that support your political ideology. I mean, here's the thing. So, during the last 8 years, and they want to talk about civility, I've seen Tea Party protesters hang Obama in effigy or shoot at dummies made to look like President Obama on video. They're saying, oh, no, that's not violence or intimidation. But chanting at somebody in a restaurant, that's intimidation. oh my God, we are being so victimized by this left-wing mob. No, you guys are a bunch of snowflakes. And this is nothing more than projection. Of course it is. But there's more on Soros here. Now, the Anti-Defamation League, which really looks at, of course, people who are anti-Semitic and anti-Semitic attacks against Jewish individuals, they've noticed that there is a trend for conspiracy theorists to go and attack Soros and allege that he directly uses his funds to fund false flag events. Right. With obviously no proof. Other tweets, the ADL says, refer to his Jewish heritage in pejorative terms and claims that he is trying to undermine Western civilization. Can you find me a guy who undermines Western civilization by becoming a wealthy hedge funder? By basically partaking in Western civilization, who escaped Nazis, came over to America, and became a billionaire. And you're going to say that that guy is undermining Western civilization? That is ridiculous. That is absolute conspiracy bullshit. And it just boggles my mind that people actually think like this, but they do. But they do. They're out there. They walk among you. And again, I got my problems with Soros, right? You know what? I don't want his money in politics, but I don't want Koch brother money in politics either. But if you want to talk about money in politics and what his money does go to, because look, he does give to liberal causes, right? You want to talk about that? That's an honest discussion. Like, hey, I don't want anybody's money in politics. I want publicly funded elections because I think money has an outweighed advantage over the people's voices. Completely fair. And you want to talk about he's the Antichrist. Then you have gone off the deep end and there's no reaching you. I don't want to reach you. And if you're retweeting anti-Semitic things, I don't want to reach you. I don't care for you. I think you're deeply hateful and wrong. That's the kind of people we're dealing with, right? But there's more. Vox also reported that National Review columnist John Fund had helped to spread these rumors about anti-Kavanaugh protesters, the one that's, of course, that the president and now the president's attorney are retweeting and spreading around. Now, Fund claimed that two women who confronted Senator Jeff Flake in an elevator worked for the Center for Popular Democracy. Now, the Center for Popular Democracy has received some funding from Soros Open Society Foundation, according to these claims. Fund writes that evidence that, quote, Acorn's tactics live on in the senator's elevator confrontation with activists from a Soros-backed group. They're talking about Acorn still. Acorn. You remember what Acorn did? They actually helped people vote. Register to vote. Minorities, especially. So, that's the big bad. Acorn and Soros. They already destroyed Acorn during President Obama's administration, which was absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, Project Veritas, I forget his name. There's so many right-wing trolls, I can't keep them straight. But this guy dresses up in a pimp hat and a pimp outfit, selectively edits his videos, and manages to convince Democrats in order to get rid of Acorn. Ridiculous. This is what they do, man. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they destroy, they obfuscate. And then, of course, they show that they're some of the worst people in the world by retweeting anti-Semitic bullshit nonsense. But Fund's evidence, he says, was that the women work for the Center for Popular Democracy, as I said before, that got some money from apparently Soros. Look, I know this sounds crazy, guys, but even if they did work there, maybe these women actually work there because that's what they believe. maybe they're of like mind in protecting their own rights. I'm just saying. I know that's a shock because there are some conservatives out there that only do this for the money. I mean, when there's no money behind a conservative action, we've seen what happens. Look at the Tea Party protests, right? When they first started, large crowds, people getting bussed in from all over. And then during the Obama administration, during the Obama years, when the Tea Party fell out of favor with the Koch brothers, like 20 people would show up. Money makes a big difference on the right. And so, of course, they go and they project. And they say, well, we pay our protesters. We pay people at our rallies. We astroturf. Obviously, the left does it too, right? Right? No, they don't. There are people that actually care, regular American citizens that actually give a shit. And yes, turns out when you band together into these groups of like-minded people, your power is amplified. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as money on the right, look, as I said before, I can point to so many sad Tea Party rallies, but when there is money involved, well, then people get elevated. I mean, look at Dave Rubin. Rubin is a fantastic example because of his so-called evolution, right? I mean, he became suddenly super conservative, super worried about liberty and freedom as soon as he started getting money from the Koch brothers. And look, the best example here of that is there's this conservative YouTuber, and I forget her name. Now, she recently stopped making political content. Well, why is that? I mean, that's what she got famous from, right? She made conservative content, and what they have on the right is a gigantic network of cross-promotion. Everybody going on each other's shows. You know, Ben Shapiro going on with Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin going on with other people and with other conservative hosts. On and on. You've got so much cross-appeal, right, that it's very easy to get elevated within that sphere. And most of these people are actually taking money. And they're doing this for the money. But this woman, this YouTuber, she admitted on video, she came out and said, look, I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to name names. But when I was on a show, I was in the green room. And look, the host of that show was like, don't worry about it. I actually don't believe the stuff that I'm saying. I just don't. But it gets a reaction from the audience. And of course, they end up getting views. They end up getting clicks. And they end up getting a lot of money from this. So, and my guess, it probably is Dave Rubin. But it might not have been. But the overall point is they do this for the money. See, if you want money on YouTube, be a conservative. See, here we are. Like, I'm a progressive channel. I ain't never got no money from Soros. You kidding me? No Soros. No Soros money. I've been waiting for my Soros check for years. I'm kidding, of course. But look, if you want to get money here, be a conservative. Odds are you start, rattling off very conservative opinions, you're going to end up being funded by a think tank. That's the reality here. And so the projection from the right, from Giuliani himself, is amazing. It is off the charts. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break here. We'll come back. We have more show for you guys, of course. A lot of stuff, including Joe Manchin, disaster on the environment, so much more. Stay tuned. We'll be back around the nation. All right, we're back. Around the Nation right here. Jeff Waldorf here with you. Just quick note from the comments. I know those of you are pointing out, oh, but TYT got investment from Katzenberg and got investment from Buddy Romer and got investment money. That is one channel, literally, versus the entire network of conservative YouTube channels. I just want to point that out. Like, yeah, you were right. They did get a round of investment. True. And it's a big round of investment. Don't get me wrong. Like, did the rest of us see any of that? Nope. But that aside, remember the scale here. One prominent YouTube channel that is to the left versus an entire network web of tons of YouTube channels on the right that are funded by conservative think tanks, by Koch brothers, etc. There's no real big comparison here. So, look, all things being equal, they're not. I'm just saying that. But I wanted to at least set that straight and address that because, look, that's a fair point to bring up. And it can hurt the narrative, true. It's I guess it involves really context. But anyway. All right. So let's go back into the stories here. Oh, before I do that, I have a super chat from Mark to read here first. Okay. Mark says, Mother Nature 2020, fuck Trump. Fair enough. And we do have an excellent / terrifying story on climate change to get to. But first we have more Republicans being shitty. And then we'll go to Democrats being shitty. How's that? All right. Actually, this isn't even a Republican, to be fair. But we'll get into the details here. Now, a West Virginia city councilman is under fire for comments that he recently made in light of the confirmation of U.S. U.S. Court judge. Let me start that again. I messed that up. Royally. Okay. A West Virginia city councilman is under fire after comments had surfaced in the light of Judge Kavanaugh being confirmed to the Supreme Court, which seemed to suggest that women should go back to coat hangers to get abortions. In fact, Parkersburg City Councilman Eric Barber, who is an independent, said, quote, "Better get your coat hangers ready, liberals." Wow. So now that Facebook comment was sent to a private group after West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin announced that he would support Kavanaugh's confirmation. Now, the comment was deleted, but it can be seen thanks to screenshots shared by local residents. So that means, look, that just points out to something that I've been saying for a long time. Nothing on the internet ever goes away. Just saying. Like, oh no, maybe I shouldn't say shit like that. Because maybe it'll be on the internet forever. Says no politician, because they keep doing it. They keep doing it over and over. Saying terrible things. So this, of course, look, the whole coat hanger thing. To show you how barbaric this is, I need to remind you guys that it is estimated. And we don't have any like actual specific numbers on it, but it is estimated that at least 5,000 people were killed, women died annually from supposed coat hanger abortions. So this is your back alley abortions, right? Now, this guy, he's celebrating that, saying, great, more women will die along with the children I want to protect. Congratulations, asshole. You just made it worse. But here's the thing, right? It's not conservatives. It's not conservative Republican women that will die getting abortions. No, it's minorities, it's the poor. Because if they are successful, Republicans are, in overturning Roe v. Wade, which now is a distinct possibility and something that a lot of Republicans have been hanging their hat on when it comes to Kavanaugh's nomination. The people who are wealthy are going to just be able to go to get secret abortions somewhere by sympathetic doctors. They'll be able to leave the country, fly somewhere else to be able to get an abortion. But poor women, minorities, they're the ones that are going to be screwed over. And look, and this guy is saying, great, wonderful. Now, here's the thing. In case you think that this guy is a Republican, he actually used to be a Democrat. Now, voters first elected Barber in November of 2016 when he ran as a Democrat. He then left the party in 2017 and became an independent, accusing his opponent, Wood County Democratic Party chairperson Daryl Combranchi, of, quote, anti-Christian rhetoric. After Barber refused to support a non-discrimination ordinance Combranchi supported. The ordinance would have extended non-discrimination protections to LGBT residents. So, former Democrat, now independent, saying, I'm against LGBT protections. And I'm also against a woman's right to have a safe legal abortion. So, here's the thing. It's not vote blue no matter who, right? No. You need to vote for people who share your values. This guy, he don't share your values. This isn't a huge right-winger, even though his policy seems to be incredibly right-wing. This is somebody who ran and won as a Democrat. Okay, you have to remember that. You can't just vote for any Democrat. You have to vote for Democrats who actually share your values. And that is something that, unfortunately, that is a message that people don't get, don't understand. Now, there's more. If you think that the coat hangers comment was bad enough, it gets worse. Residents also posted screenshots of other comments Barber has made during his time as a city councilman. In one comment, posted on a video about a young boy who dresses in drag, Barber tagged one local gay rights advocate, writing that, quote, he may be quick to defend this form of child exploitation because he may be one of the many gay men who enjoys watching pre-puberty boys compete in drag shows. So then what is he saying? Oh, you're a pedophile. Gay people, of course, are pedophiles because they love watching boys in drag, right? Now, look, if you're somebody who likes to dress up, that's fine. You're not hurting anybody. But what this comment is, it's perpetuating a lie, a falsehood, a smear against LGBT people, against people in the gay community. Oh, you know how they are. They're pedophiles. They love to watch young boys. No, dude. More likely, it is much more likely for that to happen with a Catholic bishop being the one who's watching. Just saying. So, there's more. In another screenshot, he referred to himself as, quote, a headhunter of alt-left liberals. There's no such thing as the alt-left. No such thing at all. This guy was this guy was a Democrat. A Democrat. You got to be kidding me. Come on, man. This guy's a terrible person. There's more. In July, the Freedom from Religion Foundation sued the Parkersburg City Council for its practice of reciting Christian prayers at each meeting, a practice enforced by Barber. So, Christian fundamentalists, I don't have a problem with Christian people, I have a problem with fundamentalists, right? Headhunter of the so-called alt-left that doesn't exist. Here's what the alt-left is, right? People pushing for Medicare, Social Security, like Medicare for all, I should say, an increase in Social Security, a $15 minimum wage, living wage tied to inflation, and free college. That's what he thinks the alt-left is. And people, of course, who defend people for being LGBT, for being themselves. That's the alt-left to him. Never was a leftist. A hideous person. So, the overall point here is, look, This guy's a terrible person. You have to watch who you vote for. You can't just vote for a D. You can't just vote for, party. You actually have to look at the people who are running before you give people like this into power. So, okay. Moving on to Joe Manchin. Whoops. That's not it. Here we go. So on Saturday, one of the deciding votes for Justice Kavanaugh, who will now be seated on the Supreme Court, was Democrat Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Well, now wait a minute. Joe Manchin basically broke with his entire party and said, I'm a yes on Kavanaugh. Despite, of course, Kavanaugh's extensive record of voting very, very pro-corporate. In fact, sided with against the public in 83% of the cases involving corporations. So he's very, very pro-corporate. He's very pro-money in politics, pro, surveillance state, all that stuff that is anti-freedom. Joe Manchin says, great, I'm in it. So now Joe Manchin got a whole bunch of blowback from, of course, Democrats. Not the establishment Democrats. They won't speak against him. They won't refuse to fundraise for him. But actually progressives and a lot of the progressive base and a lot of liberals. Like, what the hell, Joe Manchin? What are you doing? Well, Joe must have gotten something out of this, right? I mean, look, maybe he was trying to ingratiate himself with Donald Trump. You could say he was playing politics and cozying up to Trump to try to save his election, which is actually, he's having a very close election with his opponent. The polls, some polls have shown him very, very close with Patrick Morrisey. So, what did he get in return? What did Joe Manchin get in return for betraying the Democrats? Well, he got this tweet from Donald Trump Jr. Quote, a real profile and courage from lying liberal Joe Manchin. Waited until Kavanaugh had enough votes secured before he announced his support. I bet he had another press release ready to go if Collins went the other way. Wait. So he votes to confirm Trump's pick, and Trump Jr. says, lying liberal, Joe Manchin. I mean, I bet he would have voted the other way. He still voted with us, but he voted the other way. What a dick. What a jerk. Vote for the Republican. What have we been saying? Vote with Republicans, and you're going to get slapped in the face anyway. You're not going to get anything in return. You're going to get nothing. You're going to get shivved in the back, Joe. That's exactly what happened. It happened this time. It's going to happen the next time. It happens every time. This is what happens when you reach out to Republicans. This is what happens when you try to be bipartisan. You're not going to get Republican votes, Joe. You understand, they hate Democrats. They hate liberals. Now, I'm not saying Joe Manchin is liberal. Far from it. Joe Manchin is basically a Republican on almost everything except for a couple of social issues. Economically, he's with the Republicans. For the most part. Climate change. He's with the Republicans. He's with the coal barons. He is basically a Republican. And of course, what's worse, what's more sad is he is bragging about screwing progressives over. In fact, he said, he told the State Journal, quote, I voted almost 70% of the time with President Trump. I've been deferential to the president. I voted for most of his appointments, even the controversial ones, as long as they were qualified. So here he's saying, no, I'm proud of voting 70% with the Republicans. You're a Democrat, Joe. The thing that frustrates me the most is that centrist Democrats look at Joe Manchin like, ooh, Joe Manchin, he's so bipartisan. Look at, he's voting with the Republicans more than his own party. He might as well just caucus with the Republicans. And you're proud of that? You're proud of that? When Manchin votes to confirm Kavanaugh and gets slapped in the face anyway. Thanks a lot, Joe, for your vote. Now piss off. That's what they're saying to him. God, they're not going to vote for you, Joe. If you think that this is going to get Republican voters to turn out for you over Patrick Morrisey, you got another thing coming, man. Why vote for a conservative Democrat who's going to vote for you or vote with you on 70% of the issues when you could get a deeply conservative Republican who will vote for you 100% of the time on all the issues? That doesn't make any sense. That's why Democrats lose, man. They lose because of people like Joe Manchin. We got to stop this. We got to stop this madness. Why are we being cordial with a party that wants nothing more than our destruction? Why are Democrats reaching across the aisle just to get themselves slapped in the face? Is it because they like it? They must. Maybe, I don't know, maybe the Democratic Party is into some sort of weird BDSM. I don't know. Where they always reach out. They're never strong. They're never tough. They always give cover to Republican light senators like Manchin. That's what they're doing here. They continue to do that. Look, if you tell me that, come on, Jeff, you got to stop criticizing Joe Manchin. At least he's a Democrat, right? I mean, at least he votes 30% with the Democrats. You could have somebody who votes 100%. You're part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying vote for Republicans. That's ridiculous. That's like lighting yourself on fire. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. What I am saying, primaries. I know primary season is over, right? West Virginia, you missed your shot to elect an amazing progressive. Balajean Swearingen would have been awesome. But it's not as if she's never going to run again. In fact, if you missed her the first time, guess what? She is running again. Now, she's got until 2024 to actually get her message out, to put together a campaign that is going to take on Joe Manchin. Assuming, of course, he survives this challenge. But what I'm saying is, vote blue no matter who isn't going to matter anymore. It is not the strategy we should be using. We should be voting for people in primaries that reflect our values. Joe Manchin obviously does not. And as far as how we should deal with the Republicans, we should stop playing nicey nice and we should start playing hardball. I said that before. They're going to be vicious. We should be vicious back. Oh, come on. But decorum, Jeff. Decorum. What the hell has decorum gotten us these days? It's gotten us Judge Kavanaugh. It's gotten us, I don't know, the loss of every single lever of power in the entire United States. The Supreme Court, the presidency, Congress, all the state houses. Most of the state houses across the country are controlled by Republicans. What has being nice gotten us? No, Republicans are vicious. But not only that, but they actually had a game plan. They started from the bottom. They started taking over the state legislatures. They started pushing their message. They were vicious to the Democrats. And they continued to be so. And that's how they got into power. Well, we need to do the same thing. We actually need to fight. Fight for progressive values. Stop playing nice. Burn down the norms. Burn down the rules. And fight. Because if we don't, we're going to keep getting walked on. Just like we have been over the last, 20 years. Let's be strong. Okay. Jesus Christ, I am out of time. And the reason that I say that is, look, I got to get ready for Get Vocal stream here. That's going to be happening at about 5 o'clock Eastern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get ready for that. Make sure to tune in. It's also going to be broadcast here on YouTube. So it's going to be a live stream. So hopefully you guys tune in for that. We'll be talking about the 2018 midterms. We'll be giving some predictions. We'll have some general fun going over what we talked about before in the series. So join us for that. That's right here, TYT Nation channel. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll have more stories tomorrow. We'll get back to, of course, the devastating climate change story, as well as Bernie Sanders. We'll do that tomorrow when I have more time. God, I wish I had more time. But it's, what are you going to do, right? There's only so much time in the day. All right, thanks, guys, for tuning in. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button if you like the show. Like and share our clips, etc. And maybe consider becoming a patron, patreon.com/TYT Nation. All right, guys. Thank you. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, guys. We'll see you later.